Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page, where I do this daily live stream, or nearly every day. And it's all about the divination cards that I draw in the morning. And so we get to have a conversation, a spiritual conversation about them. And we get to share stuff about our lives and what's going on, and if somebody needs some extra prayers or that kind of stuff, good things. When I first started this daily live stream back in May, it really kind of started to feel like a spiritual roundtable. I used to host those where I lived down near Madison, Wisconsin. It's about 12 years ago or so. And those were always fun. I never knew, they're pretty informal. We never knew who was going to show up or how many were going to show up. And it was actually a good friend of mine, one of my sisters' idea was to have these roundtables, and she lived a kitty corner across the street from me, and and she had two small children at the time, a baby, and I think Rosalind was maybe 2 years old, something like that. She goes, "I can't have it at my house because it's always a disaster zone. So can we use your house?" And I thought, well, sure, why not? And so sometimes, it would just be the two of us. Sometimes it would be like up to 20 people. And we'd sit around the dining room table. It would go from 10 until about 3. Sometimes I'd be asking people to leave at 4 o'clock. Gently, kindly, get out. But if you stayed all day or even around lunchtime, you had to bring a little something to eat, something, a potluck kind of thing, And it got to the point where divination cards would be out and people would be drawing cards, and we're talking about things, interesting conversations. There was no agenda. There was no, this is what we're going to talk about today. No. One time we had a relatively new person. She was just starting to figure things out for her spiritual life and her earth walk. And she had been invited to come and by a friend of hers, and we're sitting around the table, and I don't know, she said, can I ask a question? I said, absolutely. You can ask anything you want. She goes, well, I'm thinking about learning Reiki, and I don't know really anything about it, but I feel really drawn to it from what I've read. And but how do you start, and how do you know who's a good teacher? And well, that day, sitting directly across from her were 3 Reiki masters, all with over, one had 5 years of teaching, one had 15, and one had 18 years, And so they just opened up to her and, answered her questions and what to look for in a good teacher and mentor. And so, it was those kinds of things. And so I'd like to think that this daily live stream is very similar to that. So if you ever have any kind of questions, please ask. You never know what we're going to be able to answer. Hey, Julie's here. Julie Shenway Hill. Good afternoon. Ladies, I'm on a different time, right? Hey, Rochelle. So glad you're here. An hour early. Why? Well, I'm figuring this is what's going to happen the third Wednesday of every month. Because I'm also co-hosting Nature Adventures with one of my sisters, Minnie Kansman. She is one of our contributing writers and live stream show hosts. And so we've been doing shows together for a lot of years. And so when the opportunity came up to do this one, it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Well, then I started doing the daily live streams, and we moved Nature Adventures from an evening show to an afternoon show. So in order to fit everything into an afternoon and still have time to take care of Mom and George, I need a little break in between shows. If it was just me, we could do them back to back, no problem. But I have two other beings in my life that I need to take into consideration. So we're going to take a little break in between the shows and then come back. And then we'll do Nature Adventures right after that. So expect this every third Wednesday, that we'll be moving the daily live stream to the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, right? 1 o'clock Central, 2 o'clock Eastern time frame. And yeah, That way we get to still be together and fit everything in comfortably, right? Okay, before we get started, let's share and like. That's what we usually do every day, right? So I'm going to find our live stream and I'm going to like it and share it. And the usual places that I share, that I share it to is, gotta turn my sound down, is my news stream, and also one of the closed groups for Star Nations. So I'm going to change that to my news feed, just so that my friends know, right? And that we are actually live streaming an hour early. Yeah. And then, of course, asking them to please join. There we go. Here's one. Yeah, and George is all set, ready to go too. He was laying underneath the table, ready to get started, holding that energy for us. It's one of his jobs. Okay, almost finished. There we go. Make sure everything is spelled as right as I can, and we'll send it over to the Academy page. There we go. There we go. That works. All righty. Let's see. Let's see who's all in the house. We got Stephanie. Yep. Thank you, Stephanie. Like and share the broadcast. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Marie's here. I always enjoy your streams. I find peace, enlightenment, and joy. You're welcome, Marie. And I'm glad you're here too. I am. It's always nice to see those names in the chat. And this is a conversation, right? So if you guys want to chime in with anything, ask a question once we get rolling with the cards. Or one time Rochelle asked a really good question, and this was a few months ago. She said something about you asked me about something, Rochelle, and it sparked a deeper conversation, and I think it was about grounding, if I remember right. And and so that was very helpful. Helped a lot of people in the chat, actually. So, hey, Kimberly's here too, and thank you for sharing. I do appreciate that. We ask you to share it out because we do know one thing about Facebook, that elusive creature, is that they really like likes and they really like sharing posts, and especially video. And that helps us to be in the news feed more often. And there's so much information getting posted every second that it's really easy for things to get buried, right? And so when we like and share, I kind of think of it as kind of like energy worker or light worker civic duty, because it helps someone else to be able to find the live streams, not just mine, but all of our hosts. And so if they're searching, we're all seekers, right? Searching for information and to help us along our way, and to live our soul contract, right? Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing. Yep. All right. I'm going to take a look at my phone quick. Rob Kendall is here. Hey, Rob. And Mervyn Kelly is with us. He's one of our show hosts, live stream show hosts. He's also on with us. Excellent. All right. So what I probably should do is introduce the cards again, right? Most of you guys already know this, but just in case we have one or two people who are brand new or watching the recorded video later today, these are the cards that we're using. The Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck by Kyle Gray, and the artistry is done by Lily Moses. Lily is in New Zealand, and Kyle Gray lives in Glasgow, Scotland. And so they're part of the UK. And I found my deck on Amazon.com. It's probably out in other stores too. But where I live in Tomah, Wisconsin, it's in the northwestern part of Wisconsin, about an hour east of the Mississippi. The nearest town, like city town from me, is about an hour to an hour and 45 minutes. And so, goodness, even if we want to go to like the People's Co-op, which is kind of like Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. I had Whole Paycheck in my head, and I knew that's what we used to call it down in Madison. We take a cooler with us, right? And we do some bulk shopping kind of thing. So Amazon.com is actually kind of my store. It's easier to shop. And so these cards are there, and I like them. I like them a lot. They kind of jumped off the screen at me when I was searching for a new deck. And yeah, even though the perspective is coming from the UK, because you can kind of tell the verbiage, and sometimes even the perspective. They're really, really good cards when it comes to Earth-based belief systems. And so we're talking about pagan, and we're talking about Celtic, and we're talking about Aboriginal, and we're talking Native American. So I think that Kyle has a good understanding of that ancient information, and that's why I like them so much. All righty. Oh, before I get started, I got to show you something. Before we start the broadcast every day, George and I, my puppy, he's just turned 5 months old. I have him out running around so we can expend some of that puppy energy, and he can do his business out there, and we come in, and so he's ready to work, right? He's ready to hold that energy for us. Well, on our walk today in our woods, this is what we found. Now, this little guy here was all stretched out and was like he was getting ready to crawl or do something when we walked up, and I saw, what is that? And I'm trying to take the picture, and he got a 5-month-old pulling at the leash, and George stepped over him, and the woolly worm kind of curled into a ball. I couldn't get him when he was fully stretched out. But I've never seen this in December before. Never. And we are at 35 degrees or 38 degrees right now. That's Fahrenheit. So I'm asking you guys, have you ever seen a woolly worm out in the snow in December where you live? Yeah, maybe in the Southern Hemisphere, and I don't even know if they have woolly worms in the Southern Hemisphere, but here, I was like, holy smokes. I was standing there looking at him and talking to him. He's like, are you sure you're okay? Do you want to be put back into the woods? Where'd you come from? And basically, as I was supposed to just leave him where he is and just notice him. And so I'm going to need to do a little research and find out, as a totem or as a power animal, what does woolly worm represent? And there's a part of me that says, okay, transformation, because, eventually he's going to turn into, what is that, a butterfly? No, moth maybe? Yeah. So I just had to show you guys this. Yeah, Michelle's saying never. Yeah. I mean, searching the memory banks, I've never seen a woolly worm out in December. And I know that yesterday and the day before we had low 40s here in Wisconsin. Yeah. So I just had to share that with you. And I figured, like yesterday, I said, I should have taken pictures of the clouds. Why don't I take a picture of the clouds? So when I see something interesting on our walks and when we're playing out in the woods, George and I, just before the show, if I see something interesting, I will definitely take a picture of it and bring it to you guys, okay? All right. George, he's such a goofy boy. He's got one of his bones, and yeah. Good boy. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Stephanie's on it. She says the woolly worm, aka woolly bear caterpillar. All right. Hey, Rob. Good to see you. He says, I saw a ladybug today outside. A ladybug? Well, I know that you guys are living a little bit further south, but that's still, that's different. That's something that you really kind of take a look at and you think, holy cow, I've never seen this before. It's like when we were talking yesterday, Rob, about frozen fog. Yeah, never heard of that before either until recently. All right. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you all and see what maybe we'll see through the cards what the woolly worm brings to us. Yeah, not that much further south. See, I'm in northern Wisconsin. It's probably takes me 6 hours to drive from here to Grand Rapids. So I don't know where you are in that route, Rob. I think you're south of Grand Rapids, aren't you? Near Detroit, or are you closer to Detroit? I forget. Anyway, it's a little bit of a distance. Hey, Tina. Tina's here. She says, last year we skipped spring. Maybe the climate has something to do with it. I'm thinking the same thing, Tina. I'm thinking the same thing. And yes, and last year we went from winter to summer practically. Spring was really short in there. Yeah. And we also did, oh, here we go. We also did, one fall, we actually had the lilacs blooming or starting to bud. All right, here we go. Woolly worm bears can and do survive to temperatures as low as 90 degrees below 90 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. That's wow. This ability to adapt to cold shows up particularly in the Arctic, where the woolly worms live in a strange state of slow motion. Most caterpillars live for 2 to 4 weeks before becoming moths. The Arctic woolly worms, however, spend at least 14 years in the process. Holy smokes. That's a long time. The woolly bear caterpillar has even been known to survive an entire winter completely frozen in an ice cube. Wow. All right. Thank you, Stephanie. So really that's adaptability, right? And that's survivability. We have to also use transformation in there because they transform from worm to moth. And there's this feeling of, what's the word? Perseverance. That you're willing to stay in something so you can transform into that, right? Yeah. Interesting. Okay, Rob is saying east of Grand Rapids. Okay, an hour north of Detroit in the thumb. All righty. Okay, so probably take me about 7 hours to get to you or so. Yep. They become the Isabel tiger moth. Isabel tiger moth. Don't you like that name? Isabel tiger moth. Stephanie, can you find a picture of that and post the link to it? I'd like to see what it looks like. How interesting is that, right? And guess who showed up first in the card draw? Earth Guardian. Earth Guardian. It says, stay rooted and grounded. Stay rooted and grounded. All right, Stephanie's got more info here. She says, the darker the fur, the colder and longer the winter. Yeah, and that is something my grandparents used to say about those. Is that, if the furriness looked thicker, then it was going to be a long winter, cold winter by the woolly worm. And that's really interesting. And Rob is saying probably similar time as the interstate will take you through Lansing. Yeah, Yep, exactly. I've been through that route many times, Rob. Sometimes I think I should have gotten a second home over in Michigan. All right, so the Earth Guardian. So we get the woolly worm to show up. And this guardian's talking about staying rooted and grounded. Rooted and grounded. Yeah. So here's the question, peeps. Here's the question. How many people did their grounding today? It's a good question for today. Because remember, we're still in the 12-12 gateway energy flow, and that was about evolution of consciousness. And that gateway energy is with us until and through the 21st. And so to be able to be grounded and ready to receive, right? Grounded and balanced, ready to receive. Yeah. Rochelle is saying, I'm a little over north of Grand Rapids. Yeah, kind of between Grand Rapids and Big Rapids, right, Rochelle? Yay, Julie. She did. She grounded. Yahoo. And can you tell the difference? Can you tell the difference when you're grounded and when you're not, right? Me, I used to get that feeling of I'm late for a very important date, because I'm a triple fire. And so, there's a lot of energy going. And so if I don't ground that energy, it can burn me out. And so being grounded is really important for me. Really important. Okay, so Tina says, smudge this morning. I opened a window and first thing I got a sage smell. Aw, that's nice. Very, very nice. Doesn't feel good when you smudge too. Yeah, and here I do use white sage. I do, but my most favorite, the one that is comforting to me, is cedar because that's what I grew up with. We never used white sage when I was growing up. That didn't come into prevalent use here in the Ho-Chunk Nation and Potawatomi Nation until probably the 80s, early 80s, maybe late 70s. I'd say early 80s. Most of us use cedar, and I still do. I have cedar, and there's those times when I would prefer to use cedar because, like I said, it's more comforting to me. And when I clear my mom's room, she always asks for cedar. She's never asked for sage. Yeah. And Julie's saying, yes, I've been more laid back and cheery today. Yay. It's a good feeling. Stephanie said, grounded this morning. Need to ground again. Yeah, sometimes that happens. It depends on what we ingest and also our emotions. And for women, for some reason, if you're around your cycle, your moon time, sometimes you have to do a little bit more during that time frame too. Yeah. And Rochelle says about 20 minutes north of Big Rapids. Okay. I had you in between, but you're north of Big Rapids. All right. I taught up there too a couple times. Tina says, I always think of cedar as thunder medicine. Yeah. I think it depends on where you grew up, or sometimes it's geography. Sometimes, for me, sweetgrass is more in the south of the wheel, whereas cedar is more in the east for me. And some people put that in the north. Tobacco in the east for sure, and cedar in the north. Yeah. And we've got for some reason, for me, sweetgrass goes in the east, but a lot of people, and to me, it doesn't make any difference as long as we're get connected to it in the spirit of that medicine. That's what matters, right? That's what matters. Yeah. And Stephanie says the picture's in your messenger. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't upload it and show it to the group during a live stream. I can do that tomorrow, or I can do it during nature adventures. But during an actual show, I can't just upload a new photo and show it. That's between Facebook and Be Live TV. Not me. All I know is I can't do it because I tried. Montana, big sky country, beautiful country out there. Grandmother Earth's beautiful everywhere, isn't she? Yeah, there's always something that draws you to her. Speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about this guardian, the Earth Guardian. You know, in this card, all the different shades of green, right? All the different shades of green depicting the earth. But, you know, for us, also the heart chakra, wouldn't you say? Really pretty. And he has that green stone at his third eye, and his staff, the staff at the very top of it has a dream catcher. A dream catcher with green feathers hanging off of it. You know, and the dream catcher on this card is about when we're grounded to Grandmother Earth, when we're steady and grounded, rooted, right? Is that we have the opportunity to be able to ground our dreams, our desires, our manifestations to the earth plane. Because remember that when we're doing manifesting, when it actually is like, you know, right here, in order for us to be able to ground it, for it to come into the physical world, we ground it through our physical body. And that's through the use of our gifts. Yeah. All right. So let's look up Earth Guardian. All right. So here's what Kyle says. He says, take time to connect deeply with the energy of Earth so that you can feel supported and make decisions based on strength and integrity. So when we're grounded, oh my gosh, George is laying in a spot that I don't know where to put my feet unless I put my feet right on top of him. And he's all stretched out. All right. So when we're grounded, right, we're more stable. We make our decision making is calmer, right? It's calmer, and it's good. There used to be a rule of thumb that when you don't make any decisions when you're really emotional. That used to be a rule of thumb for some people. To me, our emotions are our guidance system. That's part of our intuition. And so when we're grounded, we're able to bring in information, feeling our emotions through it, to help us make those decisions so that we're making the decision with a balance between our head and our heart, right? Yeah. So here's something that when to check in with yourself, right? When you're ready to make a decision or needing to make a decision, is like, how are my emotions? Am I grounded? Do I feel grounded? Checking in with yourself. And if you don't feel grounded, then take a moment to ground, to get calm, and then start making plans to make that decision, right? So that you have that balance. That's what I do. And it works pretty good most of the time. Here we go. Tina says, in my area of the country, a staff is carried by a spiritual person only for people to know. And when a spiritual dies, a staff is there to show who they are. Oh, so let's see, Montana. I'm trying to think of the people who live in the Montana area. Cree, is that right? Cree, Northern Cheyenne, maybe. No, maybe. I don't know. It's a good question, Tina. Which people, indigenous people, are indigenous to Montana? That's their ancestral um, place. That's an interesting question. Yeah, staffs. I think it depends on the native culture and the indigenous culture, and I'm talking across the world, not just Native American, but across the world in the use of staffs, um, because it brings the energy of the tree as well, the medicine of the tree, the spirit of the tree, and anything else that they put on that staff, and it's very personal, very personal. In fact, Paul was suggesting, my husband was suggesting that maybe we do a class here on staff making, to make your own staff, because we have a lot of trees and we have a lot of down down limbs and that kind of thing. And so he was saying, it'd be nice for somebody to be able to use them. And so, yeah. So anyway, that's what we were thinking about doing. And so a staff is very, very personal, very personal. I have one. One was gifted to me. Yeah. And now I don't really take it out because George tries to play with it, and it's not worth the battle. Oops. There are 7 tribes in Montana and the Lakotas in the South, and the Lakotas in South Dakota. Okay, so you're saying that there's Lakota in South Dakota and Lakota in Montana. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. And so they're part of the Oceti-Sakowin, the 7, is it the 7 bands of the Great Sioux Nation? Using the word Sioux is not, it's a misrepresented word. Yeah. So that's good to know. The Great Sioux Nation there, the Oceti-Sakowin is there. Very cool. Yeah, and Rochelle, that would be great. Yeah, to have that class. Yeah, I think so too. I actually came into a staff, though never got to decorating. It was gifted from the Nature and Friends. Yeah. Taking the time to get to know the medicine of the tree, getting to know the branch itself, because you got your hands on it, right, and you're connecting to it. And some people strip the bark off and some don't. Although if you strip the bark off, you might get some really cool designs on the wood pulp itself. Yeah. Oh, good to know, Tina. Thank you. Nakota in Montana. Okay, because in Minnesota it's Dakota. So Montana, on the other side of North Dakota, is Nakota. That's very interesting. Kind of connects dots for me. Thanks for that. And I'm trying to see my map, but the writing is really, really small. And from this position, I can't really read it. Okay, so let's finish this up. Why is the Earth Guardian coming to us again, right? Why? Exactly. And so it says the Earth Guardian represents the angels of Earth who bring the medicine of feeling grounded and strong. They are protectors of the land and the planet and can help you connect with your mission here and how you can support the evolution of the planet. Okay, so if you put that into context of what the cards that have been coming about our gifts this week, and when we had our discussion yesterday, right? And so to be able to identify what your gifts are, and if you already know what your gifts are, or maybe even just 1 or 2 of them, then you're ready to start, really polishing them. If you don't know, then what we were suggested yesterday is that we use dream time or journey time to help, for spirit to help us identify our gifts and how we can best use them with our soul contract. Because the protection guardian was very front and center again about please call on me, right? So it frees up our energy so we can put it toward our gifts. So, and today the Earth Guardian is basically telling us the same thing, right? Is that when we're rooted and grounded, and that it can help us to connect with our mission here. Our mission is our soul contract, and how you can support the evolution of the planet. So when we use our gifts, and no matter what we're doing, we're helping Grandmother Earth in her evolution. Now, she's going to evolve with or without us. She's leading the way. We're not leading this two-legged. We're not leading the way. Grandmother Earth is leading the way. And so she's going to evolve anyway. But if we can help her by holding our frequency as an optimal and using our gifts, yeah, that'd be like, my team showed me, it's like cleaning up our rooms. Do you remember when you were a kid and your mom or your dad told you, go clean up your room? Yeah, it's kind of like that. Because when it's all cleaned up, we feel better, right? We have more space to play in. Yeah, it's kind of like that. A little bit like that. He goes on to say that it's important for you to take a grounded approach to your current situation. If you're rushing ahead or making a decision based on your more fearful responses, you will miss out on the growth you deserve. Okay, so we're back to protection. If we're calling on the protection guardian to help us with our protection for her in a loving environment, a loving frequency, she's going to hold our boundaries for us, and she's going to protect us from lower vibrational energies. And that frees us up to be able to do our work with our gifts. So we're being given the space to be able to do that if we choose to take them up on their offer. It says, take time to calm down, get grounded before proceeding further. Breathe, relax, and connect with your center. Then consider what to do. It's important to plant seeds that are going to grow into something beautiful rather into a weed that you'll have to deal with later. Weeds can be pretty too, though. That's what dandelions are, right? There we go. Earth Guardian. Stay rooted and grounded. Yeah, Tina's saying Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota. Yeah, when I was in North Dakota back in 2016 at Standing Rock, right? The weekend that I was there for I think 6 days. Was when the lodges of all of the Osheti Sakoi came together, and the last time they were together was 150 years ago. And they created what's called the horn. And I believe there were seven of the bands that make the horn of the Osheti Sakoi. And let me tell you, that ceremony that they did was, there's not even a word to describe it. And and you couldn't go into the lodges. Obviously, the headmen and their families were living there, and so but you could walk by them, and it was just this deep respect, and that there's history was being made in modern day here now that hadn't happened in 150 years, It was something. It was something. And when they brought the horses in for that ceremony, I am just grateful that I was in the right place at the right time to experience that. I appreciate that Spirit brought me that opportunity, and to be able to be there when the Osheti Sakoi pull together lodges to create the Great Horn. So yeah, it's good stuff. It's something I'll never forget, that's for sure. All right, so the second card that came, Moon. The moon. It says, take note of intuitive messages. Take note of intuitive messages. Oh, all right. So the woolly worm, I would say, is a message, wouldn't you? I mean, first we get the Earth Guardian, and then we get the moon, and we're being told that to note the intuitive messages. Gotta love it. Yeah, this card. I mean, the different phases of the moon. I like this. It's so simple, and yet speaks volumes. Yeah, the moon. Yeah, the moon. The moon goes by many names, doesn't she? Oops, going the wrong direction. It's in the back of the book. Here she is. Rob is saying something here too. He's saying, the interesting part is that when it gave me its name, it's now my profile pic. Is it? Okay, I'm looking at, you mean the one that's showing right now, the monk? And it looks like the Merkaba to me, but it's kind of small, so I can't really tell. So you might have to actually tell us what it is in text. Yeah, because it's a little small for us to see. All right, he's saying cold-hearted orb that rules the night, removes the colors from our sight. Red is gray and yellow white, but we decide which is right and which is an illusion. Oh. Are those lyrics to a song too? I mean, obviously it sounds like a poem, but it sounds like a lyrics to a song. Whatever it is, I like it. All right, here's the moon. It says, take note of intuitive messages. Use your intuition, practice discernment, see through illusions and blockages. Kind of interesting, huh, Rob? Oh, God. George got up and he kicked the light stand. It's steady now, but he's trying to get comfortable again. All right, so it's about seeing through illusions and blockages, using our intuition to do that, right? And when we're grounded and we're stable, we're strong, and we're bringing in intuition, our clairs are at work, that we can actually discern so much better in what we resonate with and what we don't, and what a lie feels like and what one doesn't. Don't you agree? Because there's times, especially, when you're reading somebody's body language, because we take in information in all kinds of ways. There was a number that was given a few years ago. It was like 150,000 pieces of information every second. Every second. So all of our bodies, our physical body, our mental body, our spiritual body, and our emotional body are all taking in information all the time. And so whenever we're able to slow down enough, right, we can really tap into each one of those and our clairs, and our primary clair. But my mom says, oh, you can tell it in their eyes. You can tell it in their eyes. I think we also feel it. When you're an empath, you can feel it. And that's why I think that there's times when, as an empath, we kind of take a a step back and we look at the person and think, I kind of like you, but I'd like you better if you told me the truth. Oh, all right. Oh, that's where I heard it from. Rob saying Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues. That's where I heard that. It opens the album and closes it after Nights in White Satin. That's the song I was thinking about. Nights in White Satin. Never meaning to end. I have an original Moody Blues. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for naming the monk. Saint Bernard of Clairvaux. I think that's how you pronounce it, Clairvaux. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Stephanie. That's a good one too. Okay. I gotta check my time, make sure we have enough time for that third card. Okay. So Kyle, the author of the card, says the moon is strongly associated with the divine feminine and the energy of receiving. If the sun is God, the moon is goddess. And so she offers a powerful energy of polarity and balance. I'm going to say that again. She offers the energy of polarity and balance. She has a cycle energy and is therefore strongly connected to emotions, which often come and go in waves into somewhat interesting behavior. So when the moon appears in a reading, you're often being told that not everything is as it seems. The moon has a dark side, just dark, not negative, and can show you what you've been kept in the dark about. Okay, so if we take that into consideration with the first card about this one being rooted and grounded, right? Earth Guardian. And that when we're rooted and grounded, that actually Grandmother Earth and the Earth Guardian here, that they're able to help us to carry out our mission or soul contract here, right? And with the help of the moon, when we're listening to our intuition, when we've done our personal healing work, and we can access our intuition much more, we can access our gifts much more, and we're grounded, we can actually discern quite well. And so if there is something, my feeling is that it's not so much about something has been, it's not nefarious. It's not something that is in a bad medicine way that's being hidden, but it has more to do with our gifts. So is there a part of your gifts or gift that you're currently working with that you don't quite understand, or it hasn't revealed itself completely to you? Is there something else that you have to heal, some other trauma before you can have full access to it? That's the feeling I get. Yeah, it's kind of like when you're taking the cover off a box or a treasure chest, flipping it open, right? That there's an aspect of our gifts that we haven't uncovered yet. That it's kind of hidden in the dark. Remember, it's not negative, but it's not visible to us. I don't know. How does that feel to you guys? He goes on to say that lunar energies are surrounding your life, allowing you to understand what is standing in your way. Not everything is as it seems. You're being guided to use your discernment. When the moon appears, intuitive or psychic urges are increased, so take note of any feelings arising at this time. They are messages from your soul and angels. The moon shines her light on all that has been kept in the dark. So ask yourself, If you're avoiding anything or refusing to deal with something of importance. If so, it could be holding you in the shadows when your destiny is to be in the light. If this card appears when you feel someone isn't being completely real with you, know that your intentions will be revealed to you. The moon has no secrets. She reveals all. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and the moon has a very special relationship with grandmother, right? Grandmother Earth. They're symbiotic. The moon affects our water, our emotions. It's very interesting. When you put these two cards together, right? You put these two cards together, stay rooted, stay grounded. And this one is about, and this one is about our intuition. Note the intuitive messages. And maybe if we put the woolly worm in here, it's in transformation, right? And it takes time. And it takes perseverance on its part, surviving. The intuition. Yeah. And some things can be shown to you that seem out of place or rare. Something can show up like a woolly worm in December. And you think, and you look at it and you're going, what? What's that doing here? How did that get here? Yeah. It's very interesting, you know, that spirit has been asking us to really pay attention to our gifts, to our soul contract, to our mission here. That we spent time building up to this healing. They were asking us to heal. They were asking us to bring in that big manifestation, that change, that life change, was to ground it to the earth plane. It was going to affect our gifts. Everything was building up. And now we're being asked to really look at the gifts that we have and that we're using, to make sure that we're using them, shining them up, applying them. Yeah? Okay. I got to scroll down. I'm behind. All right. So Robert's saying if the sun is Horus and Set, the moon is Isis. I would agree. Osiris, another triune deity. And Kimberly, hey Kimberly, she's saying that is interesting, the moon card, as last night I received the rainbow blessing about something that is coming but is hidden at the moment. So maybe it's going to be revealed to you soon. Okay, let's scroll up here. Thank you. Stephanie's hard at it. Thank you, Stephanie. She's reminding us about Nature Adventures. It's coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll be on that show too. All right. Hey, Anne's here. She goes, spring weather in December. I know, right? I know. Except the woolly worm. The woolly worm, we see it more often in the fall, right? And probably does its transformation in the spring. But, you know, because they're the ones that are crawling across the highway in the winter on our walks. It's like, oh, I saw a woolly worm. It was really woolly, which means it's going to be really, really cold. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Our third card. Guardian Angel. Again. Guardian Angel has shown up, I think, in every reading almost since last week. And the guardian angel, our guardian angel has been with us from the time our soul was conceived, with us through every soul experience, whether you believe in past lives or parallel lives. And our guardian angel will be with us for every future life or parallel life. It's the spirit that knows us the best. We've been together for a very, very long time. And this card really is here to remind us that we're not alone, that we have so much help. Our guardian angel truly does know our soul's mission through every lifetime. What our soul is the wisdom that we're gaining with each incarnation and what that's building up to the grand finale, right? And so our guardian angel knows our gifts, knows what our gifts are, just like our soul knows. And so in order to bring it into the conscious mind, the physical world, why not go? Why not go directly to that part of us that really knows, our soul and our guardian angel, and asking them, what is my gift or gifts that I'm supposed to be using right now from my soul contract for what I'm meant to do here in this lifetime? It's a good one. Now, and I've done that, and I've actually asked for information and to be shown what my soul has already achieved, that wisdom from those past or parallel lives, to bring them into this life so that I have full access to it, consciously full access. And I have to tell you that when you make that request, be prepared. Be prepared, because we have to heal those traumas, and we have to align our belief systems. Yeah, that means working at it. It takes time to bring it consciously, because our soul already knows. We just have to relax into that part. Yeah. Okay. I think we got it. At least I feel like we do. All right. So if we have, see if we can get them all in there. When we're grounded, when we're rooted to Grandmother Earth, she can help us understand what our mission is here, because we're grounded to her. We're stable. She can help with our healing. The energy of the moon helps us to see with clarity, paying attention to our intuition so that we can discern. And the moon can light up what's in the darkness. Right? And we have the help of our guardian angel. We just have to call on that part of us, on our soul and our guardian angel. They're trying to make it easy for us, I think. if that can be said, easy. Such a good boy. George is such a good boy. We have this chair here that is kind of next to me. And I showed him to you the other day. Here, I'm going to show you. I got to turn it. There he is. That's my Georgie. Now, he used to sit in that chair when he was little, like 3 months old. Now he's 5. He can barely fit in that chair. He slid out of it the other day and he got stuck. And you could hear him, I'm stuck. So I had to help him. Okay, here we go. Annie's saying last night the moon had a brilliant halo around it. Yeah, it did. And you know what that means? Storm. Usually, this time of year, usually snow. Uh, yeah. Okay, gotta check the time. We're at the top of the hour. Boy, that's going by fast, isn't it? Yes, Rob, he is getting big. He is. He's 47 pounds right now. Yeah, he's got big feet. What do they say about the size of the paws? Big dog. Okay, so please take in what was shared today, right? Sit with it, gestate with it. If it resonated with you, embrace it and see how it can help you um, make some decisions about how you want to go about applying your gifts. Yeah. And if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay. Don't worry about it. It's just not today. Just wasn't your day for it. You can just let it lie, no problem. You're not hurting anybody's feelings. Nothing. If it didn't resonate with you, you can just let it lie. Sometimes we're the messenger, right? And you can share the recorded show with maybe a friend who's somebody who's maybe seeking, looking for information. Maybe they enjoy these kinds of conversations. You can share it with them, and that's all you have to do. Yeah. And so George and I are going to take a break, and we're going to go play outside before it starts to rain, because that's what it's supposed to do this afternoon is rain, and get him nice and tired so that when I come back in an hour, at the top of the hour at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central, we're going to be back with Nature Adventures and with my co-host, Minnie Kansman. And we're talking about something that is really one of our favorite things to do. And we've done these together quite often, which are fire ceremonies. And so we're going to be talking about the winter solstice, so solstice energy in general and winter specifically, and the fire ceremony. So if you're interested in that, come back and join us, and I'll see you back in the live chat, okay? All right. If you can't, that's all right too. But enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you back here in a little bit, okay? Bama Mina, until we see each other again. Love you guys.